boat today. I'm down at the boat today, and I gotta get some stuff prepared. Timmy, I am pulling the port side transmission out of the boat. I know it sounds like a major deal, a major catastrophe, but what it is a leaking seal. It was leaking when I got the boat 3 years ago. They had replaced the cooler because it had some water in it. Because when I first went and bought the boat, the transmission fluid in that port side was pink or cloudy or milky. So before I bought the boat, they said that they would change it and make sure that everything was fine. When I got the boat, everything was great. Still nice and red, but there was some fluid in the bilge, and I just assumed it was stuff that they spilled or whatever, But it turns out, after I cleaned it up and checked everything, it leaked again. So after, I think the third year maybe, I was, boy, I gotta get a pair of pliers. I was, last year, I got in the boat and it was leaking there was a lot of fluid in there, and I checked it and I was down again. So I filled it, and then 2 weeks later I checked it and I was down again, so I knew I was leaking. So I called my buddy Tim, and he's like, yeah, he goes, those seals, the ones closest to the bottom of the transmission, if the boat had any water in the bilge, they have a tendency to rot out, whatever. And when I bought the boat, it was neglected. It was sitting in a slip for a while, no power to it. There was water in the bilge, not a lot. I mean, it was, a few inches, definitely to the bottom of the transmission. But so I imagine that's what happened. So what I'm going to do today is pull out the transmission. Well, I'm going to get ready to pull out the transmission. I don't think I'm going to do it. I think Timmy is going to do it. But I'm going to get ready to do it. I bought a bunch of tools the other day, and I know there's a pair of pliers in here. The truck's a mess because I think I mentioned it earlier in the video. I lost my mom a couple weeks ago, and this is stuff from her house that I was cleaning out. So, oh yeah, steering wheel too. Forgot that was in here. My God, this is a horrible mess. All right, I'll get back to you in a minute here. The truck is a mess. All right, well, anyways, what I have to do now is, if you know about inboard bolts, we got to pull the prop shaft. My prop shaft actually goes through the transmission, so I need to. Oh, of course it's touching the ground. All right. Let's see. I might actually have to have this boat lifted. Hang on. No, that'll be enough room. piece of something to put under this prop because I don't want it slamming against the stone. Let's see. I'll be right back. Gotta get a piece of plywood. I was told that these are on backwards. Large knot's supposed to be on the outside, and the skinny knot is supposed to be on the inside. I didn't bother Googling it yet or looking at it, but is that true? Do you need to have the thin nut on first? So you want to leave a comment? That'd be wonderful. They've been like this for I think 2 years ago. I took the props off to see what size they are, because you can't see the size until you pull this nut off because it's written on the face of it. So I pulled the nuts off to look at the size of the thing, and I put it right back on the same way it was. So I God knows how long these have been on like this. I know these aren't original props, but you know, they put them on wrong or what, but I don't know. That wasn't even tight at all. What happens is when you forward thrust on these, it wants to forward thrust on these wants to push the props on tighter. So when I put these on, I tighten them up like crazy, but apparently from taking off a bunch of times, the prop seated itself even tighter, and I probably could have tightened these up a little bit more, but you know, they're not loose. They didn't do anything weird. I don't have a puller with me, but I'm going to take a couple whacks at it from the back here. Oh, that's what I forgot to do. Crap. That's what I forgot to do. I need to get heat. I like to heat up the hub a little bit with some propane, and just to kind of expand this a little tiny bit, and then it should pop off. That tightened up. A nice new wheel. Very nice and smooth. I didn't fill any of the major cracks. I got stuff in there, but I didn't do the whole dipping the wheel and get that, you know, that real thick glaze over. I just got this spray I put on it, and I like it. It got rid of all the sharp. Well, I sanded it down, but it got rid of all the sharp old lacquer on it, or whatever it was. And it's nice and smooth. Feels good. So that's that. I just got to tighten that up. And then I bought a new actuator. But I'm nervous because it's different. It's different size. Everything is the same as far as the length and how far it goes. That motor's tiny, and this shaft is way skinnier. But it has 3,000 newtons. Is the same. I think mine was load capacity was 2,000. So this one is the same or more. It says, but I don't know if that's because it's newer, and in 2002 they were just bulky and whatever. But I don't know. I don't know if this will work or not. We're gonna see. So I'm gonna go get the end off my other one, put it on here, and then plug this in and see what it does. But until then, let's go back and get a hammer, maybe possibly if I can find one, a puller, and some heat, and I'll get back to you. I went home for a little bit and I grabbed some MAP gas and a hammer. I don't know if I'll be able to get this thing off. I mean, it was off 2 years ago, but I don't know. So I'm just going to heat it a little bit here on the hub and see if I can just tap on the back here and see if it'll pop off. If it does, great. If not, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'll wait till I get a puller and do it the right way, but we'll do this for now. hub's barely even hot. Okay, well, one more whack. Nope. Nope, that's not going to work. Alright, so I need a puller. The next day, because it took me a while to get this prop puller. I didn't get it till yesterday evening. But before I pull the prop off, I need to loosen the nut on the prop shaft. That's on the end of the transmission. This is the prop puller right there. And we're going to go up there and we're going to take out that nut. So I'll get back to you when I get in there. I need to get back in here to get to that nut. Not a lot of room, but I will weasel my way in there and we'll take it off. It's too dark to see anyways, but I got this nut loose. And there's a lot of transmission fluid down here. Thing's just been leaking out all winter long. So if you're looking at this and wondering why is the nut on the back side like this, or why is there a nut, usually it's a shaft, a keyed shaft with a dimple in it. It goes into the coupler, and then there's a jam nut that goes onto it. But these are ZF transmissions, and the prop shaft actually runs through the transmission and comes out the back side. There still is a coupler, but it's on backwards right there. You can't see it, but take my word for it. We'll get it apart and I'll show you the parts. Pain that is. It seems like no matter how big the boat is, there just isn't quite enough room to get where you need to go. I have a very hard time bending over, getting my back underneath this thing, because I can't get right down to the ground because I'm too wide to fit between the exhaust. So I have to kind of bend my back, get over this, and get over the top of the exhaust to scooch back in there, and joints don't bend like they used to, so it was difficult. And I didn't do it, but here's a bit of advice for any of you guys that are going to be climbing in your bilges this spring and there's not a lot of people working. Take your cell phone with you. Make sure you have your cell phone with you at all times. I didn't. I left it in the truck. Totally my mistake. But luckily there's a bunch of people here, so if I did get in trouble, I could just yell out. See, there's people drive by. But I've heard horror stories where people get into situations like that and get their body behind something and then they just can't get out. And then they're stuck like that. And you know, they come in 2-3 weeks later or whatever and find that there's a body frozen in a bilge. So make sure to keep your phone with you, or you know, make sure you tell a loved one or a friend or whatever where you're going to be. So that's it. That's just a little safety tip for today. So let's go outside, and man, there's a lot of transmission fluid down there. Let's go outside and get that prop off now. The way that this clamp works is there's a little button on the end of this one that fits in the center of the bottom of the shaft, and then the jaw fits on the back of the prop. And then I'm going to go ahead and just heat this hub up a little bit, just to try to expand it a little bit, and then I'll just start cranking down on this, and the prop shaft should pop off. Oh, you know what I did wrong though, and I gotta do this. I gotta put a nut back on here. You don't want to have without a nut on here. When this pops off, it could shoot off really bad. So you want to have a nut on the shaft a little bit so that it stops. So let me go ahead and pull this off real quick, and we'll put a nut on it. Probably fine. I need 2 hands to put this back on. I'll figure it back out in a second. Alright, what I like to do is get this tightened up here pretty decent. Like this. And then hit it with heat. And a lot of times the pressure on it, along with the heat, it'll just pop off. Alright. Oh, that's a lot of pressure on that. Oh, that's a lot. There it goes. Okay. A couple little taps right there. Popped right off. That's a little warm. Okay. You know what I want to do though? I'll wait for this to cool down, and I'm going to use the prop to try to pull the shaft out. I have a feeling though I'm going to get screwed here. I might have to have them pick up the boat. I don't know if I can get this prop off. Yeah, I'm going to try to get the prop off first. It should come off because I'm at the taper, so it should tip up a little bit. I don't know. Okay, there, yeah. Just, okay. Back to the bilge. I was talking about these props not being the original. I think the original props for this boat were 3-blade, and that rudder has got a little bend to it, which reminds me, I hope that I can get the I hope I can get the prop shaft out. I have it turned a little bit, but it's bent towards, you know, because the prop or the rudder and the prop shaft are off center just a little bit, so that you can slide the prop shaft out past the rudder. My rudder is bent a little bit from the previous owner. He must have got in shallow water or whatever, but you know, I don't know what he did, but he bent a rudder of both rudders, and both props are new. So these props are, this is the left-hand turn, 18 degree, 19 pitch. So I don't know what this needs. I was gonna go, what was I gonna do? Because it'll over rev. Like if you get in the gas, the motor will over rev if you let it. So I want either another degree of, or no, I'm sorry. This is an inch, 18 inch by 19 degree pitch. So I want to do like another degree of pitch. I think I want to do another degree of pitch. So make this an 1820. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't know. anyways, let's go back in the bilge and see if we can't get the nuts off of the back of the inside coupler. All right, let's go do this. I hate getting back in the bilge. I am just too large to fit down there. All right, I'll turn you back on when we get there. This is what we're working on here. This is the coupler that they need to get off. So there's a lock nut on the inside. That I loosened. I can do this with a socket, it looks like, but I don't have any on me right now. So it's just slow and steady with an open-end wrench. I have a ratcheting wrench in my left hand, but there's not enough room for it to fit. There's no reason why the prop shaft should just... I'm going to have to put the nut back on it backwards and whack on it right here to free it from this flange, I think. This is what has to happen. Fine thread stainless steel. Get that out of the way. Now, because the prop is off, because it would make contact with the ground if it was between blades, I can go ahead and turn the whole thing like that, so I can loosen this bad boy on the back. Oh, see, and that's what I'm talking about. Ugh, gross. That is just transmission fluid and water, just nasty. I really should have brought rags down here with me. All right, let me go ahead and get these nuts off of this thing, and we'll see if we can't pull this out. I'm a little more prepared. I brought a light and a headlamp, and then I also brought a 3-jaw puller, because I can actually move the shaft back a little bit to get behind that flange to get these on there. And then hopefully with a little bit, oh shit, I forgot to bring the torch up here. I'm gonna just put this puller on right now and put some ugga duggas to it and see if it comes out. If it doesn't, I might need to heat it up a little bit. You gotta be careful. There's no fuel down there, but there's a lot of oil from transmission fluid. Doesn't really ignite like that, but I just got to be very, very careful. So, bring a fire extinguisher down there with me and see what I can do. So let me get into position and see what we got going on. All right, so I have the puller on here and the nut back on there. So if this does spring off, it's not gonna fling off and hurt me. Look at all the transmission fluid and gross water and stuff. This is gonna take a good cleaning. All right, so after I get this flange off, I gotta get down there and loosen the PSS shaft, triple shaft seal, because that's gonna hold the shaft from trying to go back through. And then this linkage has to come off, and then I think that's it. And then these bolts need to come out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. And then before those bolts come off, I got to get a jack underneath the bell housing to support the weight of the engine. Remove these 2 motor mounts from each side, and then jack the engine up to bring the transmission up a little bit. Take those bolts out, slide the transmission off, lay it on its back in here, redo the seal that's at the bottom, and then pick it back up, slide it back on. Freaking nightmare. It's going to be very, very difficult. I'm probably going to get a shop vac down here and clean up this gross nastiness before I take the transmission off, so that we're not playing in that stuff. But this is my first gig. I have to do this first. I might have to heat that, but I have to get some tension on this. I need 2 hands, and then we'll see what we can do. I was hoping I was going to be able to get the impact gun in here, but I didn't realize that I was so close to the firewall, or to the bulkhead. So yeah, let me just crank on this and see if we get any motion. So kind of easy. Right as soon as I stopped filming there, I just tightened that up like 1 or 2 more turns, and I just gave it 2 taps with the 3-pound sledge. Just tap, tap, and boop, it popped right off. So that's good. Now I gotta finagle myself down in there to get to the shaft seal. It's up against the transmission. Alright, that's next. Timmy came down to help me. I got a little porta power on that back rudder, because the rudder is bent a little bit and it was in the way of the shaft. So we just pushed it out of the way far enough, and I was able to pull the shaft out as far as we need to. And then we're going to go inside now, take the linkage off, and then unbolt. Well, we're going to jack up the... We're going to put a jack underneath the transmission, get the weight off, and pull the back engine mounts off of it, jack it up, support the engine under the bell housing, and then undo the transmission, try to get it off. So let's get up in the boat and take care of that. Out of the hole, we put porta power underneath the transmission. Put porta power underneath the transmission, and got the lag bolts out of the motor mounts, and I just jacked up the motor about 1 inch. He's gonna shove some boards underneath the oil pan, because it's cast, so we can. And we're gonna set it back down on the oil pan, and then support the transmission, unbolt it, slide it back. I think he's gonna be able to flip it on its back and do the seal. If not, we're gonna take it out of the hole. Yeah. So all right, we're gonna take it out of the hole, and then that's it. So we got some work to do. He found a super loose ground cable. I've been having issues with this boat, having trouble starting, and that's for the computer and everything. So that might be the issue. So we're gonna fix some stuff while we're down there, and I don't know. I'll get back to you here in a little bit when we get the transmission loosened up. All right.
Right here.
Okay.
You ready?
So Timmy got all the bolts out of the transmission. I think there was 6 of them around, and we have the engine propped up on blocks. The transmission has got a little space underneath it, and he's going to be able to take this whole thing and slide it right off the back of the engine.
Let's go.
Let's see if he does it. There it goes. There we go.
Sold.
Look at that.
No.
All right, transmission's out. So now we got to get it up out of this hole here. We're going to put it up on the deck here. I'm going to shut the hatch. We're going to take it out of the back of the boat. But I need hands, and we need a strap, so I'm going to go turn you off, but this is what we got.
You left the mounts on? So
Yeah, left the mounts on, so it's staying on the stringer. It slid back right where we need it to go, and we're going to get it out of here. So let me turn you back on when we get out of the hole. It's facing at it. Okay, so transmission's out. Timmy says if it weighs 50 pounds, it's heavy. I'm sure it weighs more. He's just beefy. But it came out. We just transmission hoses had to come off. Left the mounts back on the transmission, so you don't have to make any adjustments, even though we're going to. And we're going to get a strap on it. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold that, and he's going to finagle it. We'll pull it up out of the hole, and then we'll get it on the tailgate and see what we got.
We'll see you at the shop.
All right, there she is. She's out. She's up here. A little gross. A little gross. All right. We'll go take a better look at it. All right, so, well, Timmy's pulling the transmission out, and I'm just kind of standing here doing nothing, feeding everybody drinks and whatever. Here's Kimmy on her birthday. Wish her happy birthday, everyone. Wish her happy birthday. Painting the boat. She's doing all the bottom paint right now. Doing a good job, too. Real good job. I'm going to go ahead and take this transmission home. I'm going to pull... I already pulled the seal out of it. Got the numbers off it. so this seal here is the one that's bad. So I'm going to get 2 seals because Timmy noticed that on the output shaft here, I got a groove. And that's what happens when this boat was actually, there's water right here. And that's probably what got rid of the, made the seal bad. And then I got, rust and stuff made a groove there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 seals, half the width, one backwards, one forwards. So one will keep oil from coming out, and one will keep water from going in. There's a little trick that the bearing guy that we buy stuff from suggested. So I'll get 2 seals for here. That one's not leaking at all, but I'm going to pull that coupler off and pull that seal out and get another one for there. Everything else looks great, sounds good. So I'm going to get the seals tomorrow, put them back in, and then hopefully Timmy can just go ahead and boop. It's Timmy over there. He's going to go ahead and we're going to put the seals back in, and we're going to lug this thing back up in the boat, stick it back in the hole. So, and then go boating. Hopefully, I'll go in sometime early in the week, next week. You stop it. That's what we need. Okay, you ready? That's what we need. You're right down. It's way easier. Way easier.
Told you.
Yeah. Picking sucks. Letting down is easy. Alright. Sorry I didn't show the installation of the transmission. It was frustrating for Tim to be in there lugging that thing around. He didn't want to be recorded yelling, and not yelling. He was just frustrated. So there's some swearing and whatever. But he lo and behold got that thing down on the stringers, slid it forward. I had to just move the prop shaft around a little bit, and then it slid on, and it went on fairly easy. It was just heavy and awkward, and he just didn't want to be filmed. So I left that out of there, but he bolted it all back up, hooked it all up, took the jacks out, and put the motor mounts back on, and here I am installing the prop. Anodes on my prop shafts. I put that one on 2 years ago. Actually, this is the fourth summer. This is the 4th summer I'll be having on. So it's been in there for 3 summers, and I haven't gotten any wear on that. So I guess I don't have any really straight current in and around my boat. So, but I'm gonna, just for preventative, I'm gonna put them on the shafts. I got some for the rudders, but the drill bit I've got is way too dull to go through there, so I'm going to have to revisit that one before I put it in. But for now, I'm just going to put them on the quite a lot of work has been done the past couple of days, and I haven't been filming it because it's just been frustrating, up and down, and just everything kind of just not going the way I planned. Like, look at this hatch. how slow that's going up. I bought a new actuator, and in the pictures and then the numbers, it was supposed to be the same as my old one. When I got it, it's pencil thin. It's just this little tiny thing, but it's rated for 900 pounds or whatever it is, 1,000 pounds. Same rating, but little tiny motor and little tiny deal, so it takes forever to go up. So I ordered a new one, a different one, and it came in, and I put it in there, and it was 1 inch too long, so the hatch wouldn't close all the way. I could modify it by moving the bracket forward, but then I would run into the problem where it would maybe run into the exhaust. So I kind of wanted to go straight up and down like it is now. So I emailed the company to see if they have another one that's a inch shorter, or maybe even a couple inches shorter. It doesn't need to go up as far as it was before. It's almost vertical. So that was one of the issues. The other issue I had was last year. I don't know if I think I put a video out there. The computer went on this engine, the starboard engine, and what is that? Oh, this table. The computer went on the engine, and what I mean by that is I went to go fire up the engine one day, and I didn't get the alarm. The alarm that I get. This is the alarm right here to tell you that the fuel pump is on, and it's a loud beep. There's a beep in the dashboard to tell you when the ignition's on, and then there's a louder beep down here to tell you when the fuel pump's on. That didn't happen last year, so I ended up taking the computer off, and I sent it into a guy in California, and he called me back and told me this was a common occurrence on these ones. I'm not sure if it's true or not. Just be blowing smoke, I have no idea, but he said it's a common occurrence on these ones that the fuel pump part of that computer tends to blow out on them. And what he suggested that I do is run a wire from my fuel pump right to my key ignition. So when you turn the key to the on position, you can hear the fuel pump go on. Just turn the key to 2 seconds or whatever, and then just start the boat. If you leave the key on for 11 seconds, it reaches rail pressure on the fuel rail, and the pump will shut off. So that was simple. One wire, because I left the negative wire connected right to the harness. Like, this is the harness it comes out of the fuel pump, and it goes into this plug, and then the red and the black wire go down. The red goes over to here, or into the fuse box first, and then over there, and then the black wire goes to ground. So all I did was tap into the red wire with a waterproof connection, and I ran the red, and it has to go up to the key switch. Well, the problem that I had was getting the wire from the dashboard down and then over to here. When I took apart the dashboard, I had the white wire that goes up to my antenna, and it's down here. You can't see it back there. It was down there. It's all the way back there. So what I did was I unhooked the end of it. I hooked the wire to it, and I pulled the wire through, and I got the wire out here. It was perfect. So then what I want to do is, before I went any further, pull everything back through that direction, and then hook up like a piece of paracord or whatever to have a guide rope in here for future issues. Well, my dumb ass, I pulled the wire through, and somewhere in the middle here, it came undone, and the white wire came out, and the red wire was gone, or it was in there, so I pulled it out. So now I lost my connection from the dashboard to here. So yesterday, me and Kim were down here all day trying to figure out what to do. I was going to take the headboard, or the headliner off. Under here is the aft cabin. I was going to take the headliner off because there's access behind to this wall from that headliner. And I tried to get the headliner off. The screws came out, but the thing is glued on there. So it was impossible to get off. So then what I ended up trying to do is we ran a piece of, I had a piece of like a plow stake, like a big orange plow stake. And I ran it through an access hole where the wires were, and ran it up to here under the dashboard. It's actually, where the wires come out is pretty much behind the throttles here, There's a grommet on the wall here, and all the wiring harnesses come out here, the throttle cables, gear shift cables, all that. So I tried to follow that up along the wall so that Kim might be able to see it, you know, in that hole and be able to grab it with something. Well, I got it up all the way there, and you can kind of see it. Well, you can kind of see wires moving behind the wall. She's reaching back there with a coat hanger, trying to pull it, and I mean, it was just a nightmare. So we scrapped that idea. The headliner didn't work, so what I was going to do, I was going to drill like a 5-inch hole, 6-inch hole in the headliner. You know, cut the vinyl out of the way, move that out of the way, drill a hole in the plywood, and then go get like an access panel, one of those screw-on ones, and then screw that to it. And that way you reach your hand up in there, you could probably get to this area, reach your hand this way and get to that area. So if I can, whatever. Well, I can't fit up on that shelf to do the drilling above my head. Kim could, and she would have done it, but she was nervous, and I didn't blame her. I was like, you know, I didn't want to start drilling holes in the ceiling of the boat in the. So what I ended up doing, which is pretty cool, and I think it might have been Kim's idea. She says it was mine, but I don't think I came up with it. I think she did. I took this plate off, and behind this plate, I drilled a 2-inch hole through this this piece of fiberglass, and then there's another piece about that far inside of it, just another piece. So I drilled a hole in there, and then once I drilled a hole in there, I could see the wires that run through. I could see them all. So then what I did was I ran the plow stake. I took this bin out here, this part out here. I ran the plow stake along there, and I think the second time I did it, she just screamed out, "I found it!" And it was about 4 inches, 5 inches away from here. But she was able to reach it with a piece of coat hanger with a hook on it and pull the stick over, and then she held onto it, and I came out of here, and then I pulled it, and I was able to bend it out of the hole and get it out of here. So it was just sticking out here and sticking out back there. So we were great. That was perfect. So then I tied a piece, or I taped a piece of wire to it, and I pulled everything back through. So now I had the piece of wire going down out there and then sticking out the hole. So then my next gig was I took that piece of coat hanger, it was about 1 foot long, and I put a little curve on it like this, and I brought it in the hole like this, and as it went in, it curved and it just scratched along the inside of this wall. I can feel it making contact with the wall, and then when all the dashboard was out, all of a sudden it just boop, it popped out the hole, and she grabbed a hold of it. So that was perfect. So then on this end of it, I tied the other end of that red wire, and then she brought it through. So now I had 6-7 feet of red wire spooled up there, and 6 or 7 feet of red wire spooled up there. So now I had a piece of chase wire going through, and the only reason I used the wire because I didn't have a piece of paracord. I'm gonna go get that tomorrow and pull it through. But with that wire, I was able to bring this back through. This is the antenna wire, and then I was able to bring another wire from the fuel pump back up to the key switch. I would have put that on film or on the camera, but like I said, it was really stressful. We're running back and forth. I'm getting aggravated. It was a nightmare. So I just didn't have the camera on. I just left it alone. So I apologize for not filming that. But in hindsight, it probably would have been pretty cool to see that disaster happen. But with all that being said, I now have this motor runs. I fired it off real quick. That motor runs. I don't have any transmission fluid in the well, I have a couple quarts, but it's low, so I got to fill that back up after putting that back in. But now what I'm gonna do is go put the impeller in, and I'll show you how I do it on this boat. So let me go get the impeller and get some stuff, and I'll be right back. So earlier I had this off, so everything's loose. I don't have anything tight on here. The bracket isn't holding it on, so I just got to get it off here real quick, and then we will put the new one in. just to confirm, I want to make sure that the splines match up, and they do, so that's good. And it did have the same amount of fins as the old one, and it basically, it looked like the same size. The other ones are, they're all folded over like crazy, so it's hard to measure, but there was no part number on the other one. This one has a part number. Well, it's a 1210. I don't know if that's the part number or whatever. But the way that I load these is with a little bit of Dawn dish soap. It doesn't have any petroleum in it, so it won't make the rubber swell. Like if you use any petroleum-based anything, you guys know if you put that on gaskets, like in carburetor stuff like that, they swell up. So I just put a little bit of Dawn soap on here, and everybody's all concerned about the way the fins are bent over when you load them. It doesn't really matter, because the hole that it goes into is kind of off center. So one side of the impeller, the fin is almost straight up and down, while the other side will be folded right over. And that's, because it scoops the water out and sends it through. So it doesn't matter if your fins are, when you load it, if your fins are bent this way or this way. As soon as the motor starts, they'll all flip over the right way. As soon as they get down to the low area, they'll flip over the right way. So don't be too concerned about the way that you load it. But I just like to, I don't know if you can see this, I just kind of get it all soapy and just kind of twist it in like that. It just goes right in. And then it's spline, so you gotta match up the spline. And it's a lot easier with the hose not on it. If I can't get this, for some reason I can't get this on, I'll take the hose off. But if you can just turn it enough to meet up with the spline, then you don't have to worry about it. And I'm having a problem. There. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. Okay. So that's just that easy. Like I said, if these hoses weren't on, you can just take this and just dial it and put it in any way you want. Since mine are on, it wanted to kink a little bit, kind of keep out. So whatever, I got it figured out. So that's as easy as it is to put these impellers in. And then it's just a bunch of 8mm bolts that screw into this outer housing, and then those other two bolts to hold the bracket to keep it from spinning. Because as soon as this crank starts spinning over, this spins with it. So it'll fling around, and it could possibly rip apart. That bracket that I took out earlier is what keeps it from coming apart. And I'll put that on next. Let's just get these little screws in here, and we'll go from there. We'll go around in a pattern like you would do lug nuts on a car. And you can kind of feel, because these edges are machined and real tight tolerance, you can feel when the screw bottoms, or when the plates make full contact with each other. It's pretty obvious on the screw. So you just tighten up just a little snug, and that's good. All right, now this bracket here, whoever owned the boat before me must have changed this before, and they have two different size bolts. I don't think the threads are the same, but the head is different. So the way this thing works, this little bracket here, it's got this little rubber thing here that fits on here and goes in between the brass part here, the pump, and then the bracket just bolts to the bottom of the block here. And I think the top one, not that it matters because I said they're the same thread, but this one was the larger headed bolt, went in that hole there, and then the bottom one right here. My last boat was the same model as this boat, well, brand and smaller model. It was the 3300. Martinique, or this is the 3700 Martinique, and it had 454 Horizon motors in it. This has got the 496s or the 8.1 Volvo motors in it. The Horizons, the pump was down in between the engine and the stringer right there, and it was really difficult to do, especially if it's an emergency, if you're out in the water and it happens. It was really difficult to do, not alone sitting in the marina, but it was a pain job. It was tight and hot and everything else. This is a breeze. I mean, everything is super accessible and real easy to do. Okay, that's it. That's changing that impeller on that motor. Very simple. And this one's even easier because it's out in the middle. This is up against, it's not hard, but it's, the sight is a little bit different. But that's it. So that impeller's changed. I'm going to go ahead and change this one out. This one's fine, but I'm going to change it out with a new one and keep the old one as a spare in case something happens. I have it, but I want two brand new impellers so that, they're equal. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and do this one off camera. I'll get back to you and we'll do something else.